Speaking of Shanahan, I want to get into his coaching tree. Who is Kyle Shanahan? Who is Coach Shanahan? Well, for one, he's the head coach for the 49ers. He was picked up in 2017, formerly the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. A lot of controversy with him because he was up 28-3 against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Instead of maybe slowing down the clock and using the run, I guess he was more pass heavy, and the Patriots came back and won the Super Bowl. As soon as the loss happened, though, he was signed by the 49ers to be their head coach. He has a lengthy coaching background. First off, his dad is legend Mike Shanahan, who is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, once with the Niners and twice with the Broncos as a head coach. Kyle was also an assistant under his dad, Mike Shanahan. His coaching tree is what I really want to talk about in this case, not much Coach Shanahan. I want to talk about his coaching tree. 2 specific coaches that coached underneath him in San Francisco. Robert Saleh, who is now the head coach for the New York Jets. He was a defensive coordinator for the Niners in 2017 and 2020. And Mike McDaniel, head coach for the Miami Dolphins. They're currently 8-3. He was the run game coordinator for the Niners in 2017 to 2020 before he got bumped up as the OC for the Niners in 2021. Other coaches that worked under Shanahan, basically as assistants to an assistant, is Sean McVay and the LaFleur brothers. And Sean McVay is now the head coach for the Los Angeles Rams. Matt LaFleur is the head coach for the Green Bay Packers. Shanahan has a nice little coaching tree. But these two, especially McDaniel, is who I like the most out of the two. He's leading the Dolphins to an 8-3 record right now. He's bringing a new atmosphere to the Dolphins. I'm not sure if you've seen any press conferences or speeches in the locker room. One, this dude doesn't look like he played football or a snap period in his life. Super small dude, wears glasses, looks nerdy, has a really quirky attitude, but that's what works. And players like him because he's authentic. He's different. He's a Yale graduate. He's somebody that looks at analytics and probably will flip it on his ass and then is like, yo, this is how we're going to actually attack the corners, or this is how we're going to attack the defensive line. Like, he's very precise. And he's different and he takes chances. Also, he's a great speaker. He knows how to speak to his players. He tells his players he loves them. There's tons of positive reinforcements when he's talking to his team. Does a great job developing his players, because at the end of the day, one thing about leadership and being a head coach is what can you do to develop your players off season and during the season. A lot of times when players do a bad job, coaches just start yelling at them. They start bitching at them. That doesn't work a lot of times, and that's how you can create conflict, especially in the NFL when you got players that have a lot of ego sometimes, or they're getting paid a lot of money. They don't want to sit there and listen to you bitch at them. So you kind of have to coach them in a specific way, and that's what Mike McDaniel does. He understands how to coach players with technique, sometimes untraditional, but again, he's an authentic coach, and I like him, and I think he can do well for the Miami Dolphins. The other coach that coached for Shanahan was his former defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, currently leading the Jets to a 7-3 record. Again, like McDaniel, Saleh knows how to capture the players. He knows how to make them buy into his philosophies. He's very enthusiastic on the field. He celebrates. You'll see him. I remember when he was on the 49ers, if we got an interception, the camera always panned to Saleh because this dude is like running around, jumping on people's backs and celebrating. Sometimes you need that as a coach. You don't have to always be like Bill Belichick and just sit there like, yeah, I've done this before. Get excited. If I play with a coach that got excited, I'm going to be hyped. I'm going to want to play for him even more. There's something important about the assistant coach, head coach relationship that I want to get into. As an assistant coach, one of the things that I wanted to do for the head coach that I was coaching under, I wanted to make it easier for him to coach the game. So I took care of a lot of things that he didn't have to worry about anymore. And eventually I started becoming him more so because of the way that he did things. And with that, because I understood how he coached, I was better able to prepare him and prepare our team before games. And I think that was one of the things that made us so successful as basketball coaches, especially coaching high school women's basketball, was the fact that we were able to capture the players to buy into our system. They loved us. We loved them. We coached them hard. We loved them hard. And we were able to develop them in each part of their game, whether it was on the court or off the court. So we were able to do that. And I learned that from him. But one thing as an assistant that I learned is you kind of become the good coach. So they come to you to figure out what they're doing wrong, etc. One thing about the coach that I coach for, his name is Chad Kapanui, by the way. He's arguably one of the best women's basketball coaches in the state of Nevada. Shouts to Karen Whites, who's won 12 state titles with Centennial High School. But Coach Kapanui was definitely one of the top coaches, arguably one of the best because of how he can connect to his players. And they bought into that. When that happens, I think with Coach Saleh and McDaniel working under Kyle Shanahan, I think they were able to create this camaraderie where Coach Shanahan also didn't want to keep them, working under him forever. So you could see these two coaches were working for him 3 years max before they got a head coaching job. And same with Coach DeMeco right now, who's the DC for the 49ers. We don't plan to see him on our bench for much longer. He's probably going to get a head coaching job pretty soon. But if you look at how they coach very similar to Shanahan. Shanahan knows how to grab the players' attention. He knows how to get the players' respect. Even the way that he talks. All three of these coaches are great speakers. They know how to make the players pay attention in the huddle. They know how to buy in. I'm saying the same things over and over again because this is what makes great coaches. And I think Coach Shanahan needs to get a little bit more consideration in that fact because of the coaches under him that are now head coaches. One of them has a Super Bowl ring, who's about the same age as me, Sean McVay. And these two coaches, Saleh and McDaniel, I wouldn't be surprised to see them either competing at a high level in conference championships or even the Super Bowl into the future.